Welcome to an episode of Sittin Courtside. Today is Tuesday, December 19th. We have a massive show to get through, so let's just get to it.
We got a ton to recap here real quick. We're going all the way back to about 10 days ago by the time
Something
you
like
listen to
that.
this? Yeah.
Something like that. Some of us have a bad time of being on time, one time only. So we have a full week and a half to go through. Let's go. Hand up.
So I thought for the first set of games, we'll kind of just do it more of a tell us about what you think of the state of these teams, since they've played two games since then. It's kind of, so let's talk about the state of the teams here.
I like this.
All right, so we're going all the way back to some big West Coast updates last weekend, so 2 weekends ago. First one, Washington takes down Gonzaga 78-73. This is obviously this first of two losses for Gonzaga. We'll talk about the other one later. But are you still thinking this team's pretty fraudy? Because I'm starting to come in on that. On that side of Gonzaga. Yeah.
All right. So let's just wrap this into Gonzaga. So Gonzaga is a fraud. They're a fraudulent team. They are a team that likes to run and gun, but they can't shoot super well or play defense for that matter. Frauds.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I don't really think Washington's too much of a threat, really, in the Pac-12. I just think this was kind of a one-off spot for them.
Didn't Washington not cover against some garbage team like on Sunday?
That's Saturday? Typically what they do. Yeah.
They were like a 4-point favorite, couldn't cover. Get out of here, Washington.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we had Utah gets a huge home win over number 14 at the time, BYU, 73-69. This was BYU's only their second game against a quad one team. Now they're just 1-1 in quad one games so far this year. They're headed into Big 12 play, which we obviously know is a loaded field. How do you think they fare in the Big 12 in the big scheme of things?
So we're not going to take a lot of stock watch into the loss at Utah. We talked about that last episode. So if you know my feelings on that, go watch. I think at this point they have just as good a chance as anyone to win that conference. I think a lot of it is going to ride on their home court advantage. Yeah. It is going to be tough for them though traveling because they're going to be one of the teams that have to travel the farthest. So still think they're a quality basketball team. I'd love to see what happens next week and a half, and that will tell us what we need to know about BYU.
Yeah, I think very interested to see because they're going to have to play legit every single night, unlike most years when they had an easy conference to go through.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, none to say.
So this next one really confused me because I've been betting on this team to win, and they finally get a big win when I don't bet them. St. Mary's wins on the road against Colorado State, 64-61. I'm done betting St. Mary's because every time I bet them to win, they lose, and then I didn't bet them here and they win. So they're just one of those teams that I'm going to ignore from here on out.
Okay, so they're dead to you.
Yes, they're dead to me.
Okay, St. Mary's first team to be dead. Okay, good for you at least. So I'm kind of on the same plane with that. Like I bet St. Mary's a lot, and they just quit covering, quit winning. I was just like, okay, I'm done with them. Honestly, I think if they would have just shown up the first half of the year, I probably would have taken them over Colorado State, who was in my top 5. But again, I think Colorado State, that was a tough game for them. I still think they're going to run through their conference. Nothing to worry about. St. Mary's may be a good thing for me as kind of a St. Mary's stand that they got a big win and now maybe they start rolling.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Colorado State either. Stevens, their best player, he shot 9-19, missed all of his threes. So I'm not really worried about this loss. Just one of those games where they had a bunch of success early and just slipped up here.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, this next one also shocked me. Colorado crushed Miami 90-63 in Madison Square Garden. I wasn't shocked that they beat Miami because I think these two teams are very talented, but I thought Miami had next level talent. Like I thought they were going like those are NBA players on that team. So I was shocked by the result.
I would say honestly, if I've ever been a massive believer in Miami, I think you more so than me. If I'd have been on them at all in the last week and a half, they would be dead to me because they've been so disappointing. At this point, I feel like Duke does not win the ACC. It is their own fault, and they got in their own way. Because, again, North Carolina is good, but I think we've seen too, North Carolina cannot compete against top-level competition. So, like, it's Duke's to win because Miami, who we thought was going to be good, is maybe not good. They may be a bad good team. I don't know what a good bad team. I don't know. They're not good though.
And they've now fell out of the top 25, so they are no longer ranked. Yes. All right, next up we got Memphis. They get a huge road win over Texas A&M at 81-75. This was actually the first game A&M actually had all their players back, so even better win for Memphis here. And honestly, they have just been so impressive to me recently. I am like all in on Memphis. I know you were at the beginning of the year, but I'm like on board now with
I know I have them on my Final Four. They're not the team I was hoping they would be, but they're weird, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so they had the loss to Ole Miss that I wasn't really expecting, which maybe Ole Miss is just good.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M, this is a tough game. We both like Texas A&M as well. I thought A&M was going to cover. They didn't. I mean, huge for Memphis. I want to see what happens with Memphis, but I almost feel like they're not going to benefit from their conference schedule either. So, like, even if they start to win, they're going to get stuck in that, like, 18 to 25 ranking. I don't see them doing anything more than that. So, it's really, at this point, make the tournament, see what you can do.
And I am pretty worried about A&M. They have not been able to get their offense going. It's just Wade Taylor, and that is it. Like their big man. He's been in a funk right now. He's got back-to-back games under 10 points. So yeah, their offense is just really not that good right now.
And not to, I guess, stick too much on A&M because we got, like I said, a ton to go through.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is just what we should get accustomed to with A&M. Like, they are one of those teams that they will produce in big moments.
Yeah.
But they're not a long-term win team. They're going to do what they do. They're going to win 21, 22 games, get like a 9 seed, and like run their way probably to a Sweet 16. Like, that is probably what will happen with A&M. So I don't want to like say we need to panic. Like, this is what they've been the last 2 years, and they've always showed up in the tournament. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. All right. So those were the big upsets, or at least spread-wise, of 2 weekends ago. But some other big results we had is Iowa State destroys Iowa. We called this on the podcast, so not too much to talk about. But I think we can ignore Iowa for the rest of the year. They're just not a good team.
Honestly, at this point, I'm starting to think we can just ignore the Big Ten.
Yeah, I know. Right?
I hate to say that because Purdue just have a massive win, but like just ignore the Big Ten.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's them and nobody else, basically. Speaking of Purdue, it was pretty cool watching this game when they played in Canada in front of Edie, a lot of friends and family. They took down Alabama 92-86. This was a shootout. It was an awesome game, but only one player on Bama was scoring. Meanwhile, everybody on Purdue was scoring.
Yeah, so I think this might be the ipso facto always take Purdue's over.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were a solid defensive team, and it's a road, like a neutral site game. Those always go under. It was still a high total. I think it was like 160.5, and it sailed over. I was not anticipating that whatsoever. But I think the bigger story might be when you pair what Alabama has done in the last week and a half. No wins, but they're in every single game.
They're playing really good.
Every single game. Like, do not sleep on Alabama, which is great for you as an Alabama stan.
Yep. Yeah, their offense is great. Defense, they don't really
the
play
Miami
much
Dolphins
of
of basketball.
They really are. Another game that we called Arizona rolls Wisconsin 98-73. We knew this was coming. Like, it was a cross-country trip against the best team in the nation at the time after winning like 5 in a row for Wisconsin. This one was obvious that they were not going to be able to compete with Arizona.
Yes. Also, that game, not even that game, it was the Marquette-Wisconsin game, followed by this game, I think was the clear line in the sand where me and you maybe have pinpointed something from a gambling angle. There are a lot of really stinky lines the last 2 weeks. If you watch college basketball, those 2 lines, and then I don't know if we have it on the slate or not. The Indiana-Kansas line was so smelly. Like, the cheese was right in your face. You did not take Indiana to cover that game. You're a dum-dum. And I know you did because it was on your Twitter. I had them on the app if you go check out the betting pros app that I use. But that the lines are getting stinky. If you watch sports, you should be able to find something every other night with some of these lines.
Yeah, I was shocked with that IU line when I saw 7.5. I was like, "Oh, this is just way too easy. I have to take it."
Yes, it was shocking.
And then we had Tennessee having a huge second half to take down Illinois 86-79. And I just really wanted to talk about this one real quick. Just, it's nice to see Tennessee get a big win. Like, they had been competing with the best teams in the nation. But I think they've kind of settled in there right after that top like 7 or 8 teams. They're like hovering around like 9 to 13. And I think they're one of those teams you can really rely on as long as it's not against like a top 3 opponent.
Yeah. So I think right now they're actually at 7, if I remember correctly. And I think it's too high for them. Like, to your point, I think for me, I was thinking about this. They're a 12 to 15 team. Like, we'll update our top 10. I wanted to put them in my top 10 so bad because like they have lost against really tough competition. Most of those teams ranked ahead of them. But then I'm like, but I can't, you've proven you cannot play with top teams in the country. You're a very good team, but you are not a top 10 team in the country. Rankings say otherwise right now, but I feel like that's just too many teams lost this past week, and they had to put somebody up there. Like, how are you have 3 losses? But yet Colorado State and BYU, who were just ahead of you last week, lose 1 game, and now magically you're like, it makes no sense. So
all right, that's all for like the way back games. Now let's go to this last weekend, which was just a hell of a weekend in college basketball. God. So we have a lot here to go through too, guys. So let's Keep it rolling. UConn takes care of
Strap in.
Yeah. UConn takes care of business against Gonzaga 76-63. I was just shocked with how suffocating UConn's defense was here. Zags only hit 2 threes all game, and they had more than double the amount of turnovers that they had assists. Like, it was just a clinic.
Well, see, and we talked about the Gonzaga loss previously, but this game was a definitive you're not a good team. Because this is now 2 games that they've played a top 5 opponent, and it's not like they're even in the game. Like, they're getting the ball is getting controlled by their team. They're losing by double digits. Like, they're kind of just in it really because of like lack of free throws by the other team. Like Purdue did it, UConn did it. Like UConn, elite team, they're a top 3 team until noted otherwise. Really interested to see what happens in the Big East. I love that Fox is trying to play up UConn playing Seton Hall this week. Like, that's going to be a game at all. It won't be.
Yeah, it will not be.
but UConn is an elite team at this point. If you don't have them in your Final Four, maybe just take a future now on them because they'll probably be there.
Yeah, they are very good. That is a very talented team. Speaking of very talented teams, Purdue, massive win in India at Baker's Life Fieldhouse or Gamebridge Fieldhouse, whatever they call it now, over number 1 Arizona, 92-84. Purdue got out to actually a pretty large lead in this one, led by 17 early in the second half. Arizona battled back, was within 2. But, man, Purdue got huge performances from Lawyer and Smith, outscoring Edey, who had 22 points himself. This was the best game that those 3 have ever had altogether.
Yep. And I feel like we had a lot of this last year at Arizona. We jumped on them really early, then they stumbled through the Pac-12. They're a little bit of the same, but I think better than last year. Where like they go through these stretches, they just don't score the basketball, but then they can storm back in a second, which is basically what they did. Their guard play is a lot better than last year, so I do want to see what happens in Pac-12 play with them. But Purdue, we're getting basically a repeat of last year. They're getting massive wins early. They hold on to the number 1 spot. They will slip up against like a Rutgers at the Jimmy John's. I always say Jimmy John's. It's not Jimmy John's. The Jersey Mike's Arena on like a rainy Tuesday in like late January that nobody watches, and they'll magically fall to 3. Like, that's what we're going to see out of Purdue, but they're a quality team. Arizona's a quality team. It was just great to have great basketball early on to go with a great slate of other sports. So that's thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I didn't put this on our slate because I think the spread will still be like 10, but Alabama plays Arizona on Wednesday. It might get to 200 total points.
I was going to say, I could see that total hitting like 174. That is going to be an up and down game. I honestly, though, see, now that I start to think about that, you go to handicap that, I might take the under because both teams are somewhat streaky. Alabama had a really emotional week and a half. Arizona's the better team. Arizona might win that game by 25 points, and it doesn't get close to the over.
Yeah, I mean,
they win, let's say like 92 to like 70. Like they just run away.
Like what they just did to Wisconsin, 98-73.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what might happen.
Yeah. Oh, man. Another game you already mentioned, but Kansas storms back to avoid the upset, 75-71 over IU. IU led by double digits as late as 11 minutes left in this game, but Kansas was able to mount the comeback to win their first true road game of the season. I will say I missed out on a parlay. It was a plus 109 or plus 900, same parlay, and it was Hunter Dickinson over 17.5 points was the only part I missed. He ended with 17.
That's harsh. That's harsh, dude. Saturday was a good day for parlays, but college basketball was an interesting slate. Indiana, unexcusable. I'm going to call this now, and I can call this because I naturally am around enough Indiana fans. If they do not start showing some fucking emotion, not safe for work, sorry, they're going to ask for Woodson's head. Yeah. How he did not get a technical in the first half whenever there was just so many ticky-tack fouls that kind of kept Kansas in it is beyond me. Like, show him. He just stands there and looks at the ref like, dude, your desk there is doing nothing.
They're not intimidated by you.
I mean, I think you said it. Like, Indiana was up by, I think, as many as 17 points. Couldn't figure it out. They led for 35 minutes of that game. The second Kansas started coming back, you knew it was over with. Like, they got within like 11. And I literally, if I didn't live in Indiana country, Hoosiers country, I would have bet the mortgage on Kansas to win that money line. Because, like, you could just tell. Classic Indiana move. And you kind of want to give Kansas credit for showing up and doing what they did as a big team, but like, I hate to be this guy, but it's kind of like Duke losing in like the first 10 minutes against USI in Indiana. Like, you should have never been down that much to Indiana. Like, they just got beat by Auburn by 30 points.
Yeah. And I can't remember the last time I watched a game at Assembly Hall where the opposing team outshot from free throws than IU, and they had less fouls than IU. Like, that never happens in Assembly Hall.
If you watch the first half, like, Indiana was shooting out of their mind. Galloway was like harnessing his inner gosh dang it, his inner Damon Bailey, his inner freaking Alford, whoever you want to pick from Indiana legend basketball. But they just kept calling tic-tac fouls, and then like Kansas would just go to the free throw line, and then Harris hits a big three, then he gets a teardrop on the foul, and then Dickinson gets Renew, then Renew has to, like, it looked like that game was being played in fog.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
All right, let's keep it rolling with Houston holding off A&M despite a huge day for Wade Taylor, 70-66. Houston was rolling in the first half. They led by 15 and a half, but Wade Taylor 34 points for the total game, but he had 23 of those in the second half. He was the entire team because nobody else scored more than 7 points on the team. Meanwhile, Houston had 4 starters in double digits. Just a much more all-around team Houston is than Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was good for Houston. We've been talking about we don't really know what they are. Well, they've proven that they can play with like decent competition. Defense maybe a little sus because you still give up 34 points to a player. I still don't know about them though. I still don't know about them. They're still going to be in the top 5 for me, but they're a weird bunch. I want to see them play some tougher competition consistently, week in and week out, to see what they have. If they start rolling though, like they get to 17, 18 straight wins, we're just going to have to, like, they might be the new number 1 because they're just going to be playing top competition. They've got the big win. Like, it's going to be bad for anyone that's not a Houston fan.
I cannot wait till they get into conference play because their front end schedule has been so weak.
Yes. Honestly, if they were still in their old conference, I would have said they're going undefeated. Like, they've done it enough now.
Yeah. All right, this one really came out of nowhere. Michigan State gets a huge win over undefeated number 6 Baylor, 88-64. An early 19-2 run into this game quickly. It was well done before halftime. Like, it was over 10 minutes into this game. Michigan State, we've said it so many times, one of the worst shooting teams in the nation. They shot 63% from the field and 66% from 3 here. Obviously, that is not sustainable, and Baylor committed 21 turnovers to boot. So it was just the best game that Michigan State could have ever played. They did, and then Baylor was absolutely terrible on both ends of the floor.
This is another one of the stinky ones. Like, I saw this line, I was like, this line stinks. But we've talked about Michigan State enough, and I've seen them play enough that I just didn't touch the game. Like, it was one of those where, like, this stinks. I'm not going to touch it and see what happens. And it took all of 3.5 minutes for me to realize that I totally messed up not taking the bet with Michigan State. And so happy that I wasn't a square and took Baylor, because the line was 6, I think, at one point to start the game. Like, insane. You look at that game, if you watch any basketball, that should have been a double-digit spread. I don't care where you're playing that game. The way those two teams have been playing, should have been a double-digit spread. When it was 6, that's a gross game. Michigan State, congrats. You've saved Izzo's life, probably. But the man still needs to retire at the end of this year. And Baylor can't play defense. Shocking.
Shocking. If we thought it was a 1-year fluke, it is not a fluke. We stick with Bama here because Creighton wins a shootout over Bama, 85-82. A fantastically fun game to watch if you watch this one. And what's more impressive is that Alabama, even in a loss, they scored 82 points with only hitting 4 of 22 threes. That said, these 2 losses for Bama against top 10 teams could have been a huge resume boost. But honestly, they don't have anything on their resume right now because they can't pick up this big win. So I think Bama's better than being a non-ranked team. It's just they need some quality wins to get back in the top 25.
Well, they got a lot of quality losses.
They certainly do.
And that does count for something when we start doing the resume season and the net rankings. But they just can't figure it out. They had every opportunity, honestly, down the stretch there with about 6 minutes to go. Just couldn't figure it out. So bad for you, I guess, as an Alabama fan. I don't know if you really are, but I'm calling you that now. And Creighton actually kind of impressed me that they could figure it out, because they had quite a few guys in foul trouble. Schooner, he had 4 fouls, I think, with like 9 minutes to go, which, by the way, that dude needs to learn what a chicken wing is, because he does it every play. How they do not call that every play. And it stinks because I don't understand. He constantly goes to the right, but he's left-handed. What are you doing? You create zero space for yourself, and then you cry when you don't get a foul. You're the dummy that went to the side where you're like, it just, the man is somewhat annoying. I'm just going to say it. It's going to be hard for me to root for Creighton with him on that team.
One thing I will say, it's a little bit of concern. They only got 6 points off their bench. Only 6 points off their bench for Creighton. So maybe a little bit of a lack of depth. Maybe it was just an off night from the bench, but only 6 points. You don't like seeing that.
Not if you're going to Big East play.
Yeah. All right, Kentucky gets a big win over North Carolina. They played this game in Atlanta, 87-83. A very competitive game, but at times a very ugly game. There was 41 fouls and 31 turnovers combined in this. And if you somehow fell for this, you obviously don't listen to our podcast because we would never have recommended making this bet. But if you put any money on Bacot to win Player of the Year, just go ahead and rip that up after this one. He had 9.6 rebounds, 6 turnovers in this one, and he scored 13 or less points in 6 of his last 7 games. He is not going to win that award.
I'm going to say this, and if you're an old school listener, you're going to laugh, and you're going to be like, absolutely, print the shirts. Bacot is slowly but surely creeping into Fat Ronnie season.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that man has gained 20 pounds in the last 2 weeks. He does not run the floor.
He does not.
He has taken on Fat Boy season to a whole new level. He's going to get like a week and a half off, and I swear to God, that man is going to come back looking fatter than fucking Charles Barkley, dude. Like, he does not run the floor anymore. And I bragged about him running the floor the first week of the year. Does not run the floor.
Nope.
It was embarrassing watching that game, but good for Kentucky. Good for Kentucky. Another huge boost for them. They're going to go into SEC play. They're going to get some of their depth back. Don't sleep on Kentucky. By the way, still shocked. I went to go see what I could get for a future for them. They're like, I think 5th still. On name only. Name only. They should not be in the top 10 right now to win a national title.
Good team, and that was an easy, or not an easy win, but one of those bets that I was like, okay, I'm making this, and I'm putting 2 units on this one because I have a lot of faith in Kentucky winning it. So
that was actually, as you know, if you follow Twitter, also people part of the parlay that I had. I was scared to death of that one in Purdue, and both of those were probably the easiest wins that I had too.
There you go. And then the last game to recap that I had is Memphis. Again, legit. They're 8-2 now. They beat number 13 Clemson, who was previously undefeated. This marks the 3rd straight quality win for Memphis, while like I just said, the first loss for Clemson. Clemson, now they had a shot to tie this one with 9 seconds left, but their poor shooting continued. PJ Hall missed it. He was 0 for 4 in the game. He was a 42% 3-point shooter going into the game, so just an off game for him. But that Clemson team, not a lot of national recognition right now, but they have a hell of a starting 5. So they'll be around the top 25, I imagine, the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Clemson. I think I've just decided all the time that Clemson is not a good basketball team, to be honest with you. So when I see a 13 next to their name, I don't care. You're still a stinky team.
Yeah. I mean, they're a really good shooting team, but that's about all I know. It's about all I know.
And you kind of give them a chance every year. I just always bury them.
Yeah.
I don't, it's sad to say, but I just don't go Clemson. Yep, that's a basketball school.
Yeah.
Right. On the other hand, right, we had Syracuse on Saturday. Who were 3-point dogs at home, took them, and that was the easiest bet of my life.
I was about to say.
Because when you say Syracuse, you say basketball. Like, that's how my brain works. Dumb brain sometimes helps.
Dumb brain sometimes. I like it. All right, you ready to give our updated top 10s?
I have one game, and it's only because you're a lover of them.
Okay.
What is the state of USC? Because they got embarrassed against Auburn.
They are. It is not good. It is not good. I'm more than worried, I would say. They're not a tournament team right now.
No, well, and I was trying to be nice. I was going to see if you're also going to call out their overtime loss to Long Beach State.
They've lost 3 straight games. Ignore that one. And that was one where they had all the people there because it's Bronny's first game back and everything too.
Yeah, by the way, that's what I hate about social media. The like graphic right after the game where they're like, "What, Bronny has more points than his dad in college because he had like 4 points, I think, in the game." I'm like, yeah, no one cares. His dad would have scored 4 points in the first 27 seconds of his college career, wherever he went. He could have played for Long Beach State and scored that many points in the first.
Well, and it's like Bronny played like 24 minutes. He kind of cost him the game by only doing 4 points and 2 assists in that game.
Honestly, why did he even have that many minutes?
I know. That's what I was wondering.
Played 10, maybe.
Yeah. All right, top 10 time. You want to reveal yours first since I
Let's
revealed
go. Here we go.
list?
I'm always bringing the shockers, and I'm always bringing eye test strictly.
Okay.
Number 1. This is version 4, by the way. I'm keeping track.
Okay.
Number 1, UConn, without a doubt. I don't care what you say. Number 2, even after it all went down, I don't care. Arizona. It can happen.
Wow.
I still think you play that game 10 times. Arizona wins it 7 out of 10 times.
Wow. Okay.
All right. I know it's crazy. If you don't forget, I also had Purdue at 8 last week, so a little bit going into that.
Yeah.
Purdue number 3. I'll give them their credit. They are a very good team, but still, I'm expecting some stumbles in the Big Ten. 4 Houston, 5 Kansas, 6 FAU, 7 Colorado State, 8 BYU. I'm still keeping those 2 in there. I still love them both. And then to wrap this out, I think we need to give these teams some love. They've gotten very little from us, and this might be the only chance they get because they're going to get into conference play. I will go 9 Oklahoma, undefeated, 1 of 4. And Ole Miss at 10, also undefeated. So I have 3 of the remaining 4 teams that are undefeated in my top 10. The only one missing is JMU.
Yep.
You're not that good. I'm sorry. I could think of 30 other teams that will beat them.
Okay. Okay. All right. I like it. My number 1 is Purdue. I just think they have the most quad 1 wins, so they get the number 1 spot. I have 2 Kansas. Only lost to Marquette, so nothing really bad there. Number 3, Arizona. I mean, I think these top 4 teams are like on a whole nother level. UConn's number 4. Okay. I'm not sure about Houston at number 5 because they do have 4 quad 1 wins, but if you look at their schedule, none of them are against teams that are currently ranked. So I'm just not really sure on them yet. So that's why I have them behind that top 4. Okay. Number 6, I had Marquette. They have losses to Purdue and Wisconsin, but they have wins over Illinois, Kansas, and Texas. So outside of that top 5, I think that's the best resume so far in the nation. Number 7, I have the team that you did not include that is undefeated. I have JMU at number 7.
Oh, wow.
Followed up by Oklahoma at number 8. I mean, if you're 2 out of the last 4 teams undefeated, I mean, compared to some of these teams that have 3 and 4 losses, that's what I was basically comparing them to. At number 9, I had Kentucky 8-2. They have wins over North Carolina and Miami on neutral sites, and only 1 bad loss. So I put Kentucky in at number 9. And number 10, to round out the top 10, I had FAU, who is 9-2. 1 horrendous loss, but last year they proved it. They have 2 quality 1 wins. I think they're good enough to be here at number 10.
All right, perfect. 11 and 12 for me were Kentucky and Marquette. Honestly, Marquette probably would have been in the top 7, but I still can't get over the fact that they lost to Wisconsin after I put double units on them. So I'm still a little hurt from that. So like I said, bias top 10. I am curious though. So you have Kansas really high. So if we had Arizona, Kansas neutral site, you're taking Kansas?
I don't know. I think
that's the game I played with myself.
Yeah. I guess if you look at it that way, I'm more of going off of like what the resume is so far.
That's fine. This is what makes this show jive. Okay. You're more of like media top guy. I'm like, hey, use the eyes. I will say though, and I kind of hinted at it, I originally did have Kansas in my top 3. Yeah. You can't be down by 17 to Indiana. You get that held against you. I know it was on the road, but still.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. Like, would I take Arizona over Kansas in a neutral site game? That would be a toss-up for me right now.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I put UConn at number 1, because again, like that's not an easy number 1 to throw up there. But like I'm sitting there, I'm like, I think right now, like if we're playing like Vegas, Indianapolis, Kansas City, New York, like the main places that the tournament's played, like I'm probably taking UConn against whoever they're playing.
Yeah. Honestly, UConn, I have them at 4, and I definitely would take them in a neutral site game.
Like that's just how well they've been playing. That's why I say, like right now, they don't have the greatest resume compared to some of the teams, like you said. My eyes are telling me this is a quality team.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on to our next part, or we'll be picking some games or talking about some games for the.
Do we need to do records?
But first, let's talk about our records. What's your record?
I'm sorry I cut you off. Damn.
You're good.
Be a better co-host, Jordan. All right, I'll go, I guess, since that's the theme we've got. Just so we know, I am still on the trek. 1,000 plays this year. We have cooled off tremendously. I'm being a little bit smarter. 352 plays. I'm 187, 164, and 53.3%. Quite frankly, I know that I'm probably going to lose the percentage game that we play here. If I end up over 52% after 1,000 plays, I am giving myself a pat on the back. That is so hard to do.
So I had a huge Saturday. I went 12-4, and so it really boosted my percentage. So I'm 106-78 on the year. That is 57.6%. Just having a hell of a season right now.
You honestly have been one of the hottest gamblers in the last 6 weeks, probably, that I've been around.
Yeah, the college basketball season has been treating me nicely. I'm sure conference play will throw a wrench into that, but for now, loving it.
Yeah, honestly, I think Saturday was a really good day for everyone. I'm trying to figure out where I went. I think I also had like an 11-3 day or 11-4 day and I mean, I took your Purdue. Kansas State was kind of one that hurt me a lot, though. I like Kansas State; they suck, but
I've been noticing that Vegas is setting these like player prop lines like just at their averages. So if you have like a hunch on anybody, you can like get there and run it right at their averages right now.
Yeah. So the problem I have with that though is like you get like a Dickinson, right? And I'm like, okay, IU doesn't have anybody really can rebound the basketball. They set his like rebound line at like 8.5, and I'm like, he's not actually like a great rebounder, actually, if you think about it. So I'm like, like I start playing those games with me. However, on the points, though, the points, you're nailed it.
Yeah.
You get a solid player like an Amos that we had the other day at 14. Like nail him. So yes, great tip, Kyle. We're make the people some money.
All right. With our last 8 minutes here, we're going to quickly go through the slate for Tuesday and Wednesday, the big games, but make sure you check out our Twitter for all of our picks, of course. Tuesday, the very first game, 7 p.m. Number 22 Virginia, who's 9-1, at number 23 Memphis, who's 8-2. We've done a lot of talking about Memphis, but of course we know who Virginia is. Virginia, all defense. They are not anything on offense. Do you think Memphis keeps rolling and get their fourth?
Well, I mean, Memphis isn't playing anybody, so it'll be great.
Yeah.
So yeah, Memphis. I don't know who whatever the other team is. You said.
Yeah, and the spread right now is 2.5. Memphis minus 2.5. So
don't let Memphis get rolling. All right, they're gonna be dangerous this year.
Yeah, I like Memphis as well. Over under 130. I've just learned in Virginia games, so I'm going to touch the over under. It's just going to stay away from those.
Honestly, over. I'm leaning
over. Okay, I like it. All right, next up Tuesday night we have at 8:30 p.m. number 6 Marquette, who is 9-2, at Providence, who is 9-2. The only reason I put this one on here is because I haven't really given the Friars much attention this season, and it's a home game to start conference play, so I'm very intrigued to see how that first like tough road test is for Marquette. Obviously, I'm willing to lean Marquette to win, but this spread has got me thinking. It's kind of like the spreads you talked about earlier. It's only Marquette minus 4.5 right now.
That's a stinky line. That's a stinky line. I'm taking Providence. Okay, Providence to cover. Providence to cover. Yeah, that doesn't sound.
That does not, and it's just gonna creep up to like 5.5 or 6.
But I hate Ed Cooley now. Sheesh. Yeah. I know he's at Georgetown, but
he did him dirty. Yeah.
Still, do I want to take a money line? Ooh.
Would you?
We're gonna take him to cover. That's gonna happen. Okay. We're gonna sprinkle money line now. We'll see what happens that night. Marquette's going down. They're gonna be in the top 10.
Yeah, I'm not locking in anything on this one right now because that line scares the hell out of me. But I kind of like Providence right now here in this spot, just after hearing that line.
It's just smell the cheese. That is a rat line.
Yeah, all right. All right, let's move it to Wednesday, December 20th, 7 p.m. Number 10 Baylor, who is 9-1, versus number 21 Duke, who is 7-3. At Madison Square Garden. Obviously, we know who I like in this matchup, but who do you like in this big battle?
So I'm famous for this. I'm just going to say it now. I have won like 20 for 20. I don't know it's insane. I saw this game after what happened this weekend. This is a whale play for the young man over here.
Okay.
Taking Duke.
Okay.
Mega nuclear whale play.
Okay.
Going very heavy on it. I will need them to win though, so that I can keep funding my gambling efforts. Taking Duke.
Yep. And they typically play really well at Madison Square Garden. Just for a fun fact, if you don't sign up or don't subscribe to KenPom, they currently have this one predicted as an 81-80 finish for Duke winning this battle.
You say that, by the way. I thought about that earlier when I seen the list. I wouldn't be curious what Duke's record is at the Garden. Because they do always play extremely well. Like I saw where it was and I was like, that's a no-brainer.
Yep. Yeah,
it's got to be something insane. Like 85% or something.
Yep. I don't have that number off. No, we don't have enough time to Google.
We're not stat guys. It's fine.
All right. Another, I don't know. The spread will be interesting. 9 p.m. Villanova 7-4 at number 12 Creighton, who is 9-2. Obviously, it's the opening of the Big East for these two teams as well. But at Nova, have they got their mojo back? Are they still struggling? Creighton at home seems like a tough place to win, but they did just play a really close game with Bama. What do you like here?
Creighton wins the game, but I'm probably avoiding it.
Okay.
That's such a tough game for those two teams. Not knowing what Villanova is, I will take Creighton publicly here to win the game, but I don't know what that juice is going to look like. That's avoid.
Yeah. Prediction on KenPom has Creighton to win by 6, so the spread will probably be like 5.5 or 6.5 for that one.
See, I would love if you told me it was like 2.5, because then you just take the juice with the money line.
Yep. Agreed. I agree with everything you said. I agree. I'll probably not make the bet if it's like Creighton -6 or -5.5. But if it's anything lower than that, I'll try to see what I can get the money line at.
If it gets up to like 9, would you take Nova?
I would go with Nova. Yeah.
Curious.
Yep. All right, last game on the slate, 9 p.m. Wednesday night, number 11 UNC versus number 7 Oklahoma in Charlotte. This is a huge prove-it game for Oklahoma, and I think they get it done. I think they can knock off North Carolina here. I think they're the better coach team. They're a well-balanced and well-rounded team. I think they get it done, and which basically is going to be a road game for them, and this will be a huge resume booster come March.
Yeah. Honestly, that's what kills me. Like, I almost think it'd be better if it was played at Chapel Hill than at Charlotte, because like it's just that many more people can just pack it in and give them that home court advantage. I don't know why. I just kind of hate North Carolina this year. I'm gonna back Oklahoma. Okay. I don't know why. Right. I really don't ever hate them. I just, for whatever reason, maybe it's because Bacot's getting fat. I don't know.
I think that might actually be it. I just want to check something real quick. So we have Oklahoma, they're 8th best at defense in the nation, while North Carolina is 9th best at offense. Tempo-wise, 33rd fastest team North Carolina is. Oklahoma is 141st. So
fine. We got 2 minutes. We know what my tiebreaker is. Who's the luckiest team in America?
All right, let's see.
It's always down to luck.
Okay, luck. Oklahoma is 128th in luck. Wow, North Carolina is 317th.
All right, it's easy. You take Oklahoma. No brainer. Yeah. Are they dead last in luck?
No, there's 356 teams, I think. So they're
is there now? I thought there was like 339. Okay.
Let me see. I can scroll down to the bottom of this thing. 362. 362.
Okay. Jeez, I keep adding fucking more teams. I can't keep up with them all. All right, Oklahoma. That's an easy one.
All right, so we'll give all our plays out for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll have another episode later in this week coming out Friday for the big all weekend plays. So we'll be giving a lot more picks there. But make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. I'm at Kyle Cliffy, and you are
at MingoMade1.
And we'll be giving you all of our picks, updating our records. You can even get our football picks on there as well if you haven't been following that.
And if you don't know, I am the worst gambler you'll ever follow. Kyle is definitely the hottest gambler you will ever follow. So please take his picks, not mine. And with that, we love you guys.